Hi, I'm Chris Urquhart, publisher of Natural Awakenings magazine, and I'm here today with Dr. Stephen Zanfini of Complete Care Chiropractic and Wellness Center in Stuart, Florida. He's a chiropractor and he has been taught by some of the best in functional neurology and functional medicine. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Zanfini.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Great. So just to start off, let's talk about what is functional neurology. It's not necessarily a term we're all super familiar with.
Yeah, it's definitely a newer, broader term being researched now. Not a lot of docs play with it, but the way that I involve it with the immune system and the crisis that we have going on is that I can play with eye movements and ear movements and find out what's going on in your brain and find where those are. Because the immune system runs out of one side of the brain. So I can kind of figure out what side of your brain is down. And if it's the immune side that's down, we know we got to boost you up pretty well. If we know that you're down on the other side, that means your immune system's running pretty hot and heavy. Then we know we don't have to give you as much, therapy or vitamins or whatever we need. We know that you're probably doing pretty good. So we could practice with doing certain like eye movements. They're called saccades and pursuits. I could find out if your eyes have shakes, like nystagmus in them. And I can kind of see the right eye is what controls the left side of the brain, which is where the immune side is. So if I see some shaking going on, I can kind of like distinguish, okay, that immune system needs a little help because the eye is telling me that the brain's in fight or flight on the immune side, or I can go vice versa.
So some of the tools that you use include lasers and minerals and things like that. Is that?
Yep. Yep, we do it that way too. So I can kind of decide what side of the brain is weak on, and that's how I do it on everybody. Then I could determine what side of a custom protocol they need for like the immune side, and I could put them on vitamins and minerals, and I can use like my shed light lasers, my cold lasers, and I could put them on certain points of the body to really establish an immune system. So one of the laser techniques that I do in my office is I can shine about 4 or 5 cold lasers on you. There's a Russian research paper out there that they did. It's called Russian, it has to do with building oxygen in the body and what the laser therapy actually does. And you can put it on the higher points of the body, like the carotid arteries or the abdominal aorta, shine laser on it, put a pulse oximeter on your finger, and I can literally watch your oxygen get higher. And then I can tell that if your brain's getting more oxygen, then it's going to build your immune system, because the immune system really needs oxygen to help play and fight and do what it needs to really direct the body. So I can literally watch your oxygen going up with my lasers. So we have objective findings that's showing like we are actually building your immune system based on just common knowledge of oxygen. So more oxygen, the healthier you're going to be. That's how we do it. And I can kind of base it on looking at your brain to see what kind of prescriptions or what kind of custom nutritional, recommendations we need based on what goes on with that. Then we know we need to use the lasers or not. So it's kind of like a one-step direction on how we play with the functional neurology and how we involve the lasers in it. So the correct terminology for the laser therapy would be photobiomodulation. If you type in that term right there, you'll find a million articles all over the entire world, basically. A lot in Europe are playing with laser therapy. So there is a lot of research. It's just in America, not so much. So we're in more of a box here. So but the research is out there. So if you want to research it. So that's how we kind of incorporate and include all the neurology and all the lasers together, and then mix with the vitamins, minerals, and how to volt the body up and get it really strong.
Volt the body up. I like that term. You're very patient-centered, right? So what you do with someone when they come in is very individual. It's not just, I'm hitting everybody in the same spot with a laser or what have you. So when you look at an individual and you're putting things together, you're not just like doing a supplement regimen that's the same for everyone. So how do you kind of put that together, and how important is it to have minerals and laser and not just a supplement?
Absolutely. Honestly, the way that I do it, I know I do eye movements and ear movements and check the canals on what's going on. But the real way on how I diagnose everybody is I have you open your mouth and I have you look at your throat. And I look and see what side of your palate down. Whatever side the palate's down on is the side of the hemisphere that's weak. Now I have all my handy tricks and gadgets. I know what to do to build that side up, whether it be more nutrition or more laser. So every person that comes in has a different reading. So everybody has to have their own special package. And that's the way I kind of create a custom design for everybody that comes in my practice. Not everybody gets adjusted the same way. Not everybody gets the same vitamins. You know, if you've got more of a right hemisphere that's down, I know I'm worried more about autoimmunity. So I'm worried more about leaky gut. And I'm going to direct the gut on how to get the gut tighter and stronger through more like probiotics and colostrum and stuff like that on getting the immune system built. Because if I don't get the gut addressed, then I don't get the immune system addressed. So it's all related to what's going on with the brain to stimulate to the gut. So that's how I kind of direct.
I've heard about probiotics, and that's one way to strengthen the gut. But if you don't have a healthy gut and you just take probiotics, is that enough?
It's not going to work, to be honest with you. If you've got full of infections, like if you've got SIBO, or if you've got bacterial or fungal infections, it's not going to work because you've got so much bad in there that if you put just a little bit of good in, the bad's going to eat up the good. So it's all ratio based. So you got to have like a lot of good to know what's going on in there. So a lot of the stuff I do with the gut is I do stool testing. I can tell what's going on with your microbiome from the good and the bad to know if it's more, we need to do more herbs and stuff to try to die some stuff off, or if I need more like leaky gut, more, you know, like autoimmunity type of driven protocol. So there's a big difference in like, are we fixing the gut or are we killing off stuff? Like, so that's where the Chinese herbs come into play with these, you know, functional medicine approaches on how to get rid of SIBO basically. So doing a stool test, I can tell you exactly where we got to go. But on their direction to see if I need the stool test, I look at their throat. If their throat's down on the left side, I need a poop test because the immune system runs out of the left. If they're down on the right, it's more probably a leaky gut. They have more autoimmunity. That's the direction of that. So they have an overstimulated immune system already. So I don't need to give them as much.
So what are some of the things, if I may not know I have a leaky gut, or I may not know that my immune system is weak. I mean, other than I feel kind of tired all the time, what are some of the indicators that someone may want to give you a call and see if you can help? What would be the...
Yeah, any gut issue, really. If anybody that has a gut issue is going to have an immune problem. And it's also going to stem to so many different branches of diseases and so many other issues. So realistically, do they have a gut problem? Because anybody with an immune problem definitely has a gut problem.
So if I have a gut problem, I would feel tired, fatigued?
You could feel tired, fatigued. I mean, it could be Epstein-Barr, but most likely there's something going on in the gut. That bacteria, SIBO, something's going on and it's taking and trying to host you over. That's the idea why the body would want to get slow. Other things are trying to slow you down. Whereas if your gut was healthy, you wouldn't feel that way. Sometimes it can be mineral deficiencies. I also think that's where I play with the minerals to give your body the voltage. You know, I believe that minerals and vitamins are like a 50-50 equation. And I think the minerals are what support the vitamins. The minerals that I play with in my office, you know, most of us eat all land minerals from the grocery stores. But the problem is the land minerals don't have all the nutrients. The farmers are not refurbishing the soil. They're not putting nutrients back in for the new harvest to actually have ingredients in it that are going to help us. So I play with a lot of pelagic minerals, which is what a lot of doctors don't really know about. I play with some minerals that come from the Mediterranean Sea, where they pull these algae, these kelps, and these seaweeds up from the bottom. They have more phytonutrients and more minerals than Himalayan salt. And they've never proven anything like that in the world before, but they know that the Mediterranean Sea is the saltiest body of water. The more salt, the more minerals we're going to have that we can derive out of the plants. So I play with a lot of that stuff. And if you've never taken pelagic minerals before, this stuff is like the voltage of the body. It's like, I mean, you're like running around like a chicken with your head cut off. It's really like crazy how you feel, but you're so deficient in so many minerals that you just charge the body up with minerals that have never come into your play. And all of a sudden you feel great. So, I mean, I drink a bottle of these sea minerals, you know, once a month at least, just to keep my immune system strong, to give me the voltage, the energy that I need to supply my immune system properly, to back up the vitamins that I take, like the vitamin A and D and C and all the Bs. So all the natural ones that have all the research behind it, my minerals are what's charging and making those work really efficiently. So that's kind of how I do it that.
So with all the focus on health right now, we hear a lot about vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, those kinds of things. But there's some talk about silver as well as being helpful. Can you share a little bit about how that might work?
Yeah, silver's good stuff. It's been around for a very long time. I mean, I give a little history sheet when patients come in and they don't know anything about silver. They make it in many different forms. You can't claim the liquid silvers like everything over the counter. that it can kill things. The FDA doesn't really like that. And they haven't provided the research to back that up yet. But when it comes to like silver gels, they claim on the label that this company can kill MRSA, it can kill fungus like Candida, and it can kill all kinds of bacteria and viruses, including like other things that they've done in the Petri dishes. So it actually can claim that they actually can kill anything on the contact of the skin. But when it comes to like the liquid silver, that's where the testing is being done still. We play with a very different silver at our office. It's the one and only patent in the country. It's a 4 nanoparticle molecule, whereas everything over the counter is only 1 part. So ours is literally 4 times stronger. Plus it has the patent behind it is a UV charge. The charge is the voltage behind the silver to make it run through the system and help it be antimicrobial, basically. So when people tell me just because it says, 30 parts per million on the label, it doesn't mean anything. It's still a single part molecule silver. It's good, but it's not as powerful as what we have. And this silver that we use, you can really do some good work with it. It's just another preventative to add to the measure. And the way that I play with it is I like silver at nighttime before bed. And then when you wake up in the morning, play with your probiotics back in. Because the way that I teach all my patients with the gut is if you take something away, like if you put something in that's going to kill bad stuff, then you're going to have to put something back in that's going to replace it, or else the bad stuff's going to recreate a new foundation and it's going to manifest quicker.
Is that because it's killing the good stuff as well, not just the bad stuff?
It doesn't kill the good stuff. That's the great thing about silver. Yeah, it protects the good stuff. So it's only going after the bad stuff. So you're going to be doing die-off while you sleep, and that's the easiest way to do it because your body's slowing down. Your gut is really slowing down while you sleep, and that's the way it should be. Peristalsis is all happening, got all this movement. So it's kind of moving it through slowly, and it's doing almost like a die-off. So first thing in the morning, boom, put probiotics right back in your gut. So now you're playing with the ratio. You're going to always keep the ratio kind of good. Remember, the way the gut works effectively is keeping the ratio of the probiotics in a good manner. If the bad starts to take over, no matter what probiotics you eat, they're just going to get eaten up, basically. So that's how I kind of incorporate the silver with the probiotics, even for the most simplest protocols that I play with in my office, for people that just want to do something, or they have, they want to be able to just spend a certain amount of money and still feel protection. I sell them a bottle of silver and probiotics. I say, take this one at night, take this one in the morning, because in my opinion, I think probiotics are the #1 important thing during this entire crisis. And of all of the studies that I've done of doctors, they said, okay, if you were to pick one supplement on the entire shelf, what would it be? 90% of the doctors pick probiotic. Over vitamin D, over vitamin C, over all the big daddies, all the ones that are researched that show they do work. If they were to pick just one, 90% of the doctors said probiotic. So it's really important to put those good in you.
So that probably ties back to what you were saying about how important the gut is to the strength of our immune system, that it's
absolutely
where it comes from, is from the gut.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I understand you have a podcast as well where you go through some of this education. How can how can people find it?
So we did a podcast. It's on my personal page, but we're putting it up on my business page today on Dr. Stephen Michael Zanfini. You'll be able to find it right on the front there. I talk heavy about vitamin A, especially because I think it's really important during this type of crisis. I talk about what breaks the gut down, how to build the gut back up, dietary supplements that I think are very required during this time, and also food recommendations of eliminations to not eat, like dairy, exactly, because this is a virus, and viruses eat off of mucus, and dairy causes mucus. So if you eat dairy, you're going to put mucus in your sinuses, and then that's where the virus loves to play at. So just by eliminating milk and things like that is what I talk about in the podcast, how you can really just take preventative measures even through your diet. Even if you're just not eating certain foods to help you, but even just eliminating certain foods that make that virus more vulnerable to yourself. Right. So I talk a lot about that, and then I talk about some of the research on what laser therapy does on the microbiome, and some of the little techniques that we do and the little gadgets and tricks that we do in our office. Because everyone looks at my Facebook and they're like, it looks like a laser show always going on. And they're like, what is going on with this guy? But we're playing with all research-driven protocols, and we're practicing completely in the scope of laser therapy with, chiropractic care. It's really, really cool. So you'll be able to find the podcast. It'll be on my personal page, but it'll also be on my on my business page as well. Pretty good to find out. It's very educational. It's about an hour long. So it'll give you kind of all the feedback that you need in a crisis like this on how to get through the next basically 60 days, because that's all we really, I think, have left of this.
That sounds great. So basically, you want to stay plugged in and get charged up.
Yes, right. Keep the voltage high.
Keep the voltage high.
That's right.
So those of you who might want to connect with Dr. Zanfini, he's located at 500 Southeast Dixie Highway in Stuart, Florida. The website to read more, completecaretc.com. And of course, you can give them a call, 772-223-9777. Thanks again for joining us, Dr. Zanfini. Sure enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me.
And everyone, be well, stay connected.